Somewhere in the warm coastal waters off Baja California, a young snapper opens its mouth to feed. A tiny crustacean, no bigger than a grain of rice, slips inside on the current. It looks harmless. It is not. Within minutes, it has crawled past the fish's teeth, past its gums, and has latched on to the soft, pink flesh of its tongue. It is not here to bite. It is here to move in. This is Cymothoa exigua, the tongue-eating louse. And what it does next is biologically one of the most disturbing things any animal does to another animal anywhere on Earth. Over the next several weeks, this parasite will sever the fish's tongue, drain it of blood, kill it completely, and then, somehow, replace it. Not destroy it, replace it. The fish will live the rest of its life with a living, breathing parasite anchored where its tongue used to be, and it will use that parasite like a tongue. This is the only known case in the entire animal kingdom of one creature functionally replacing the organ of another, and almost nobody knows it exists. Let's start with the parasite itself. Cymothoa exigua is an isopod, a relative of the woodlouse, that small gray bug you find under rocks in the garden. Except this one lives in the ocean, has 7 pairs of clawed legs, and is built to grip. The males are small, maybe a centimeter long, and they don't enter through the mouth at all. They enter through the gills. That is where they wait.
Because here is the first twist. Cymothoa exigua is born male. All of them. They drift through the water as tiny larvae, find a host fish, usually a snapper, and crawl in through the gill slits. Several males can live in the same fish at once, hidden in the gill chamber, feeding on mucus and blood, doing nothing especially horrifying. Yet. Then one of them changes. The largest male in the gill chamber undergoes a complete sex change. It transitions into a female. It grows larger, sometimes doubling in size, until it is too big to live in the gills anymore. And so it moves. It crawls forward, out of the gill chamber, into the mouth of the fish, and on to the tongue. What happens next takes weeks. The female anchors her front claws into the upper surface of the tongue. She begins to feed on the blood vessels running through it. Slowly, methodically, she severs the arteries one by one. The tongue, starved of blood, begins to atrophy. The tissue dies. The muscle wastes away, and eventually the entire tongue, except for a small stub at the base, falls off, drops away, gone. You would think this would kill the fish. It does not, because by the time the tongue is dead, the parasite has already taken its place. She remains anchored to the stub of the old tongue, her body extending forward into the mouth, occupying the exact space where the tongue used to be. The fish, when it tries to use its tongue to manipulate food, presses down on her instead, and she lets it.
She has become the tongue. The fish learns to live this way. It uses the parasite's hard exoskeleton to push food against the roof of its mouth, to swallow, to process prey. The parasite, in turn, sips small amounts of blood and mucus from the fish, not enough to kill it, just enough to live. It is, by parasitic standards, a remarkably stable arrangement. The fish can survive for years like this. Some studies suggest its growth slows slightly, that it becomes a little weaker, a little smaller than its parasite-free cousins. But it lives, it feeds, it reproduces, and inside its mouth, the parasite is doing the same. Because the female isn't done, she is now waiting for one of the smaller males, still hidden in the gill chamber, to come find her. He will. He crawls forward, past the gills, into the mouth, and mates with her right there on the floor of the fish's mouth. She produces fertilized eggs. She broods them in a pouch on her underside, and when they hatch, the tiny larvae, all of them male, drift out of the fish's mouth on the next exhale, into the open ocean to find new hosts. The cycle begins again. Cymothoa exigua has been found in at least 8 species of fish across the Pacific and more recently the Atlantic. It is the only known species on Earth that functionally replaces a host organ. Scientists call this obligate parasitism with structural mimicry. Most people who learn about it call it something else.
There was no record of the parasite affecting humans in any meaningful way. There was one viral story in 2012 of a customer at a fish market in the UK who reportedly found one in the mouth of a red snapper. He was reportedly fine. The parasite cannot survive on warm-blooded prey, cannot bite hard enough to break human skin, and is, for our purposes, completely harmless. Unless you are a snapper. Then it is the single most invasive thing your body will ever experience. We tend to think of parasites as small, simple, opportunistic. We think of them as taking blood, taking nutrients, taking energy. Cymothoa exigua does not take, but it also gives back something, a new tongue, a working one. Not quite the same, colder, harder, alive in a different way, but functional. Enough. For the rest of the fish's life, every time it opens its mouth to feed, the thing inside is no longer entirely the fish. It is something else. Something that arrived as a passenger and decided, slowly and surgically, to stay. Next week, there's a fungus that hijacks the brain of an ant, drives it to climb to the highest leaf, locks its jaws into the vein, and then bursts out of the back of its head. We will get into it. Until then, stay wildly curious.